Hi, Shane. Good evening to you.
Thanks so much for having me. Good evening.
Thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you so much for giving me your time of about an hour today for a conversation that pretty much resonates to the conversation, the essence of my podcast, to be honest, and that is self-worth, self-esteem, and spirituality, and turning your life around for the better. So, as part of my ritual, before I start my conversation, I would like to give my listeners today a bit of introduction of all my guests before we get right into the conversation. So, hey everyone, we have Shane Jacob here. Shane Jacob is the founder of the Horsemanship Journey, combining personal development with horsemanship. The horsemanship journey develop a system to discover your inner horsepower and use it to conquer fear and create confidence. Well, on the other biography of Shane here, he's had feelings of inadequacy as a young adult that led to drinking alcohol to excess on a regular basis. His excessive drinking has led to tragic DUI accident, and his conviction led to incarnation. These results fueled his feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness. He spent a few decades living in an alcoholic haze trying to cope, and with the help of horses and God's hand, he stopped the cycle. He was 47, and this is his quote: "If you seek change, know it is available, know it is doable, and know it's worth it. You are worth it." Certified life coach, professional horseman, entrepreneur, and author, Shane Jacob. Welcome.
Thank you again. Appreciate you. Appreciate your show too. Your show is cool. It has uh, I love the subject of your podcast, the subject matter, and the just the title alone is stirring. You and worthless going together is just the polar opposites, and so I'm just really drawn to your whole idea.
Thank you, thank you. I get that a few times, in fact, and to be honest, that what prompted me, the impetus of me starting that was me feeling worthless the past few years, and I name it that way. It's because I want people to read it again. Are we really worthless? And therefore, that's the position of our very soul. We're not. We are worthy. So, Shane, before we go drive straight into business, can you share with us what was it like growing up as Shane Jacob?
Oh, it was pretty fun growing up. I grew up. I feel like I had a pretty. I feel like I had a good upbringing. I feel like everything went pretty good. I thought we were rich, and we were probably pretty poor in the standards, but I thought we had it all. And I was fortunate in that I felt like I had a good family, solid family around me, and a good mom and dad to help me um, to in my upbringing, and I never really felt like something was amiss. Like I didn't have any tragic trauma, and everything seemed kind of normal, kind of, But when I grow up, and I think this is kind of common, it's something that we all have to go through to some degree, but as I became to be a teenager and a young adult, I really just thought, Nicolette, that something was wrong with me. Like everybody else was like a little bitter, a better, a little bit different. Like I don't know what it was, but there's something inside of me just said, you're not quite, you don't quite measure up, to the rest of the world. I don't know where that came from. I don't blame anything for it other than, my own thoughts and just the way it did. Now, what I chose to do with that was, I don't recommend.
Mm, yeah, and in the introduction, there were some you actually went through a bit of a traumatic journey, I would say, growing up. So, can you share with us how did you pivot your life?
Well, I'll tell you that, the idea, one of the reasons why your show is so interesting and excites me and motivates me so much is that this idea of worthiness, we'll call it self-esteem, we'll call it our self-image. Okay. I had the opportunity to interview about now a little bit over 80 of the top horsemen and the top leaders in human development so far. And one of the individuals that I interviewed was a lady named Cheryl Green, and she said to me one day, this has kind of always been my thing, this self-worth thing. And she said to me, Shane, I believe that 100% of negative human behavior at the root is tied to a negative self-worth. Now just think about that. That's a big statement. Everything negative that in all of we do as human beings is tied to a negative self-worth. That's what she said. Now I thought about that and I tried to prove it wrong. And you know, Nick, I cannot see where that is an incorrect statement. I have not been able to prove that statement false. So what does that mean? That means that everything, this conversation right here, right now, our interaction with the world, everything that we do, our relationships, our performance, and every interaction that we do, every decision that we make is tied to at the root, plus or minus, on something that has to do with how we feel about ourselves. I mean, we know it's important, but sometimes I don't know if we really know the scope of how important this subject really is. And a lot of times I can tell you this, if you look at the material and a lot of times the focus of what's available and out there in the world, what you will come to find a lot of the time is that we have a view of self-esteem and self-confidence. Is this something that, oh yes, okay, I'm going to get that. Okay, now I got that. What's next in life? And it's like a skill that we can just like pick up and then we have it as a young adult and then we don't really think about it anymore. That is not how I view self-confidence. I will tell you that I believe and that we should all view self-confidence as not something that we arrive at, but I would suggest that it would be something that we would commit our life to a pursuit of continually improving our relationship with ourselves. Okay, like an
That's a good one.
ongoing thing,
Yes.
because it's not something that you arrive at. We can keep going along and along, and then something will happen like, wow, that didn't feel good. What does that mean to
Yeah.
me? Right? And then we have to
Mm,
kind of build it back up, and as we go on throughout life, it happens. In age, I'm telling you, age has nothing to do with it. You can be 80 years old, 60, 50, 40, 30, or you can be 10 years old and 15 and 20 or whatever. It makes no difference where you're at on this spectrum of high and low self-confidence. So I believe that really what's important is, first of all, that we recognize that first of all, that it's okay, that it's totally normal not to feel good about ourselves. Okay. Just recognize, just have that be okay. That if you don't totally love yourself all the time, when you're not real totally proud of yourself all the time, and if you have some shame and whatever, that it's normal. This is normal. That means you're a human being. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. So first of all, to recognize that that's okay. Okay. And then to say, well, this doesn't feel good and it's not helping my results. So what can I do about it? And I think the next thing is to realize that this isn't something that you're just going to acquire and have, after you do a few little steps. This is a lifelong pursuit of a strengthening, a loving relationship with yourself. And why? I mean, why? Why is this so important? Well, I said that it affects everything, everything, everything. But if it doesn't mean enough to yourself, how about this? Just try this on, just see how this feels. Every person that you love in your life is impacted by how you feel about you. Your relationships, you have the biggest influence on your closest relationships. You have tremendous influence on your parents, on your spouse, on your friends, on whoever is close to you that you care about in your world. The strength of that relationship and to the degree that you can contribute love, that you can contribute kindness, that you can offer forgiveness, all of that is based on the degree that you love you and that you forgive you and that you do this. And so it's in order really to, I believe, to have the most fulfilled and the most meaningful life, and to be able to give our contribution to the people that we love and to the world, that we owe it to ourselves and to the world and to the people that we love to make that commitment to a loving relationship with ourselves.
wow. You hit all the points there, Shane.
I don't
My
know about all
okay,
of them.
sharing a bit of my sharing a bit my story. I think I started this journey of self-love back in 20, I think 19 after my own divorce. So I always tied my self-worth with the accolades, the career that I had, and also probably the education, and the relationship was just like, okay, it's there. Because as growing up, my dad has always been saying to me, okay, education is key. Therefore, for you, the key to changing your life is just to get good grades and go get a good job. So okay, off I went, and then things happened, and met my had my own trauma. So then I looked, and I sat down with a friend because I didn't understand that happened. The divorce happened, and I felt like I didn't sit with it, and I didn't face it. There was like something, of course, when some things like that happen, it's always two-sided, right? It's not just the one party. So I said, and then this friend of mine said to me, Nick, you need to love yourself. And I was like, I mean, I take myself to salons, I take myself to manicure, pedicure, massages, and I'm like, that's me loving myself. And then he repeated that several times. He said, no, you really need to love yourself. So I sat and ponder, and I did my we call it shadow work. And of course, we're all still doing it, but I understood now. Whatever, to me, I think, put it simply, whatever triggers me whenever I'm interacting with somebody means that there's something within me that is still unresolved. So say a person is he's acting a certain way, and I don't really like why, and I'm judging him or her. It's truly a reflection of me. Like, what is it within me that I don't? Because to be honest, the outside is the reality of our inner self, right? And like you said, tying back to what you said, the relationship that we had with the people around us is a reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves. So if I see my sister, for example, doing things that I know she's not supposed to do, but she's doing it anyway, but the first instinct would say, hey, don't do it. But if I were to just be loving towards her and say, okay, let her do it, she'll come back. She know the baseline is I still love her. I don't. I mean, I may have gone off tangent, but this is it's so many ways. There's so many angles to look at it, but still, if you go down to the root of it, it's how you view yourself. Truly, yeah.
It is how you view yourself. You said something that was interesting next to that you viewed yourself based on the accolades, based on,
Yes.
and that's really easy to do.
Yes.
We can look, and I'm not, I think that we should use that where it's helpful to help us, but being reliant on other people for what we feel about ourselves is
validation. Yes.
is never, then we give up control of ourselves, right? And you're right again on another thing, and that is that this is a big subject. We both talked a little bit, and you mentioned again here at the end that that our relationship with other people is a reflection of how we feel in here. And I didn't, what? Let me tell you something. I didn't used to believe that. I thought that was not true. I thought, what?
Me too. I'm like, there's something wrong with them. I'm right. I'm correct.
I thought, what? I can treat you well, and that has nothing to do with what I think about me. I can treat you well, and it has nothing to do with I think about me. I don't believe what you're talking about, that I got to love myself to love you. I don't even believe that, because I couldn't see it. And somebody explained it to me in this way. They said, I'm going to give you a quick story. A mother has a young very young toddler child, and the little child spills food on the carpet, and the mother lashes out. She yells at the kid, okay? Then she turns to herself and she's mad at herself. And she says, "You're an idiot. You can't hold your shit together." And she goes on and on inside of her mind, and she says words to herself, and she lashes out at herself because she's mad at herself for what she's done, right? And then the kid spills food again on the carpet, and she lashes out. She's used to lashing out, right? Another mother has the same kid do the same thing, and she looks at the kid and she says, "Well, sometimes things happen. Have to do something different about that next time and try to avoid that. And let me help you clean that up." And then she walks away from that incident, and you know what she says herself? She says, "I gave my child forgiveness and grace and taught him how to show love when the chips are down." Okay, because this little kid doesn't know what the thing is. And so what does that mean? The next time that it happens, the way that that mother feels about herself is the way that she treats the kid. And so when I heard that story, is one of the things that clicked for me to say, now I understand what you're saying by telling me that you have to love yourself first, because I really didn't get that. But it is absolutely a fact that what we feel inside here is coming out. I mean, we might think that we're hiding it, you know. I may I may think it. I'll tell you, horses, if you have a secret, good luck with that if you're around a horse, because I mean, if you show up, if you're even near a horse, they already know. You know what I'm saying? And people are a little bit like that too, because horses are really intuitive. I mean, they can feel what we're feeling, it seems like, you know what I'm saying, with no words. I mean, we don't have this language communication with horses, but they feel it and we don't hide it. And a lot of times, I think with people, we like to think a lot of times that we're not letting it out. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just going to suck it up and pretend and it'll be okay and nobody's really going to know and it's really not going to make a difference. But it's not true. People people know and see and feel more than we know. It comes
Yes.
out of us. What is in our heart and our mind, people know. People know and they feel it. And it's okay if it's bad. The thing of it is that, you know what the good news is to all this? The good news is if you do make a commitment to that, if you choose, because it's simply a choice, and if you can learn some steps and some tools and some practices and commit to this ongoing, that you can continue to develop and you can go through those ups and downs, but it's going to go like this rather than like
Rather
this.
than, yes, yes. Because to be honest, there will be days when you will feel like this. But if you take a step back at the trajectory you're going, it is still going up, right? So you are definitely better than you were yesterday. And
That's right.
to echo that story that you mentioned about the mother and the kid, I saw something similar over in, I think, Instagram, and it was so moving. So imagine, had the mother, I mean, she already did, right? Lashed out on the kid, and imagine what that kid would feel at that moment, and that kid would grow up to be what kind of person, meaning he or she's afraid that if she does something, then it will mean that she will get scolded. Therefore, I am not allowed to make mistakes. Therefore, if I do make mistakes, which is inevitable because we're all humans, what does that mean to my worth in this world? And had you
That's it.
flipped that script, if you flip that script to say, that's all right, it's okay, we'll just wipe it up. The kid is in a safe space to say, okay, I spilled some milk and it's not really nice here, but mommy seems all right with me, and it's not right, but I'm gonna try again. So, and this is the very reason why it's the upbringing is crucial for everybody, and that is why everybody is also, I mean, I'm jumping into my therapy and coaching business because I left my 9 to 5. But the more I go into psychology and neuroplasticity, this is why I said childhood is where everything begins. Yet I mean, there's another topic, right? How do you shape or help mold your kids? And it's so much, but at the same time, it's also very important for the kid to explore themselves, to make mistakes and come back. But yeah, parents, community play a very big role in how they shape this and how we all turn out in the end. So
We
yeah.
perpetuate it. You're right in the
Yes.
fact that we
Yes.
perpetuate what's inside of our hearts and souls, and we pass it on to children, and they can a lot of times can suffer. And so that's really the one of the points of why we shouldn't. All the people in our lives, we can pass it on a little bit. We influence them, but we really have a lot of influence on, on children and on our children. And when you look back, I mean, it's more to just feeling bad. I mean, it can be pretty devastating to lives. And I'll
Oh,
come back to my
yeah.
example. You asked me, I never really got around to fully answering your question, but um, I felt bad, but I discovered pretty early on as a teenager that if I had quite a bit of alcohol, that I felt better. I felt better about me. And those things just went away. I was kind of numb. They call it buffering. That was my solution. I feel bad. I drink alcohol. I feel better. Looks like a good plan to me. So I've, so,
Yes.
so that's exactly what I did. I drank to excess. And then, as a result of that, I ended up, uh, in a tragic accident and ended up locked up, incarcerated. Even after that, then I had that fueled more shame. Now I felt worse about me. So it just that perpetuated it with me. And so after that, you know what my solution was? Drink more. So then I drank alcohol to excess for literally every day for decades. I mean, I was committed. I was 100%er. I was not one of these part-time drinkers. I'm seriously a straight up alcoholic and drinking, functioning alcoholic, but drinking to excess on a daily basis, literally for decades. And what you read earlier, I'm here to tell you, it destroyed my relationships. Destroyed. They didn't even have a chance. And in the process, I'm just sitting here thinking, everything's not as bad as everybody thinks it is. It's not that bad. I'm going to work and it seems like everything's sort of okay. It was chipping away at all the close relationships I had with my daughter, with my wife, ended up in divorce. And I couldn't be close to anybody. I just couldn't contribute because I was kind of checked out all the time in this alcoholic haze. You know why? To feel better because I didn't feel good about me, but that felt good. So then I diminished my ability to earn. I diminished my ability to grow and establish and be all the good things that we can enjoy in this short time that we had. And so, it cost me dearly. It cost me dearly. It literally cost lives and it cost me dearly. And so, uh, I'm grateful that I'm get to be here and talk to you today in this podcast, rather than be rolled up drunk somewhere or even dead by now or locked up or whatever. And there's so many destructive behaviors that, besides alcohol that this leads to also, which yes is a whole nother matter, but I'm just making the point that this is worth making a commitment to do. And it's doable if you choose to do it. It really is. It's doable to change the way over time that you think about you. Your beliefs about yourself can change. Whatever they are, whatever your upbringing was, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you're going to do in tomorrow or today moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you for being very candid and honest about your story, Shane. I can totally resonate. I mean, even though how do I say, I can feel it. I wouldn't even want to say it resonate because that is something, it must have been a very terrible experience for you and your family, right? But I truly appreciate you coming across, sharing that with us. So let's say, I am sure, so there are people out there that know this and they know that they need to get help, but they don't know where to start, or because everybody's on their own journey. So So for example, if there's anybody out there listening that says, okay, I wanna make a change, what how do I begin?
Good question. So yeah, there's a few things that you can do to change how you think about you, that you can begin to. The first is to recognize it and have the awareness, like what we've been talking about. And if you're all in, you're like, yeah, I want that. I want I want to feel better about me. I want to show up with confidence. I want to like me. I want to love me. I'm
Yeah.
I'm an imperfect human being that's going to make a few mistakes. I want to forgive me, and I want to have all that shame. I want to figure out how to process it and deal with it and have some shame resilience. And I want to go through this world, and if I fail, it's going to be okay because I'm going to get up and go again. And there's some things that you can do if you decide to make that commitment. And one of the first and easiest ones is, I don't know how easy it is. I guess it depends on how ingrained it is, but a lot of us, if you don't watch yourself, you just watch your thoughts and your words about you. Oh, whoops. Oh man, I can't believe I dropped that. I'm such a clumsy idiot,
Yeah.
right? Watch your thought, become aware of your thoughts and words about yourself. Oh man, I can't, I'm so this, I'm such that, and watch your self-deprecating humor. It's kind of funny a little bit, but you can take it too far to where you're always making jokes about yourself, making yourself look like a fool. And
Believe it.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no deal. That is not helping. You're feeding the problem. So
That's
you
right.
just stop that and replace that with a good thought. So if you become aware of that, that's a big one, right? Is making sure that your words and your thoughts about you, that's one that if you start paying attention, that's an easy thing to do. You know what else? This is from Stephen Covey, and this is a big one. This is a big one, and that is uh, um, make a promise, keep it. Make your commitments. Make your commitments. And here's why. Let's just say, you know what? I'm going to start waking up a half hour earlier. Okay. So or even procrastination, let's use my example I started with. I say to myself, Nicolette, no, I say to myself, Shane, look, Shane, I'm going to start waking up a half hour earlier. And tomorrow comes and I didn't go to bed in time. And I'm like, oh man, I'm hitting the snooze button. Next day comes, I'm not waking up a half hour earlier. And so what am I saying to myself? It's pretty hard to
You're a
say
failure. Yeah, because you can't even keep your own promise to wake up.
when
Oh,
we
yes.
when
Yeah.
we make promises, to make a promise, keep it. Make a promise, keep it. Use the discipline. Look and make conscious decisions about what we're going to do in the future and keep our promises to ourselves. Have the discipline to be able to do it, or else be intentional about it. Either that or don't do it. If you're not going to do it, don't make the commitment to yourself that you're going to do it. And when you do, do it. Because the discipline, when you do it, look what happens. I said, hey, Shane, I'm going to start waking up a half hour earlier, and here's the reasons why, and that's what I'm going to do. And tomorrow morning comes and I'm tired and I get up. At the end of the day, what do I think about me? I'm the kind of person who keeps my word to myself. And I build on that one little thing day in and day out by make a promise, keep it, make a promise, keep it, make a promise. I always keep my word. The more that I do, now we're not always gonna we're not gonna be 100% on that. Okay. But
Yes.
what I've been
Yes.
saying is endeavor to keep your promises and your word to yourself, because
Hmm.
you don't want, it's the same way you look at somebody else, right? Is the same way
Yeah.
that you look at yourself. Coming back to the words and thoughts. If you wouldn't say that to somebody you love, stop saying it to yourself. Don't say it. Don't think it. I'm still here with you. Hold on 1 minute. My camera, I'm
Sure.
going to fix it. Um, if you, if you're, if your thoughts and your if your thoughts and your words are not such that you would say it to someone that you love dearly, don't say them to yourself. Okay. And if you don't appreciate people who make promises and tell you that they're going to do things and then they break their word, don't do the same thing to yourself. Okay. So endeavor to do that. The next thing is to forgive yourself. Let it be okay. It doesn't matter what you've
I
done. It
love
doesn't
that.
matter what
Yeah.
you have done.
Yeah.
Do you hear me? I'm saying it doesn't matter what you have done, okay?
Yes. Yes.
God will forgive you, and so forgive yourself. All you need to do is know that you're a human being. Whatever you have, we all have some amount of shame for something that we've done. Maybe it's how we treated somebody. Maybe it's that we did this and nobody knows and we're hiding. We don't want to tell anybody about it because shame says that something is wrong with us. We are less than. We did some, because of what we did, we are less than. We are not worthy.
Mm. Mm.
And so
Mm.
shame makes us hide, it makes us lie, it makes bad behavior, and shame is dark. We just don't want to tell anybody about it. And the thing of it is that we're all going to experience shame. We're all going to experience shame, and it has to be okay. That what you did is has to be okay. And so when you look at it, what helps me and what I think helps people is that when you look at separate what you have done with who you are. Okay. The fact that you did something does not mean that is who you are. You may not like what you did, and you probably shouldn't have done it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But you did. You know why you did it? Because you're an imperfect human being who's going to make mistakes and do things that you wish you wouldn't have. And that's the process that we go through in life. So have it be okay. You can find somebody to share it with that you can trust when the time's right, and you can kind of work through this shame and have it be okay. If God can forgive you, forgive yourself. Because remember what we talked about earlier. Unless I start forgiving me, I'm truly not going to be able to give that gift to the people around me. And I need to let those things go. Otherwise, they're stirring up all kinds of terrible stuff inside of our hearts and our souls. And they're going to equal bad behavior and bad results. And we're not going to end up being able to utilize the precious time that we have on this earth to the degree we can. It's a big deal. So we've talked about forgiveness, I've talked about your words and thoughts, and I've talked about make a promise, keep it. I think that one other thing that I want to say is basically to come to know, that it's okay to experience emotion. Okay, so
Mm.
part of this, what I mean by that is to know that kind of that we have our own back. If we fail at something and it feels bad, if we want to accomplish something and it's hard, that it's going to feel bad. That if we have fear, you can fear it, you can feel it, you can feel the vibration, you can feel the breathing, you can feel your heart rate changing. Something is telling us something's wrong. Maybe it's something's wrong, maybe it's telling us to move forward because you're going to grow. But what I'm saying is to come to know that feeling, okay, that feeling sad about things that we've done, that feeling shame from time to time and learning how to go through that, and feeling bad is going to be part of this thing, and that to know that we can handle those feelings. They're not going to kill us, that we can handle that. And that is part of this process is to come to know that we can feel whatever feelings come to us. When we know that, we just show up, we can show up strong, for ourselves and for the people that we love. And that's part of the process. And those four things, I mean, just generally all around having our own back in life is the ways that I know to move forward in this progression of the relationship, of improving a loving relationship with ourselves.
I love all four, and I want to dive a little bit deeper on the emotion because that is something that people have tendency to hide from, I would say. And already, so for example, like I think myself that I in the journey of understanding and acknowledging that my thoughts are not me, and that what I've done are separate to who I am, and it's not my self-worth, even though I might have done some silly things. And then I guess the progression of that is when you are feeling probably embarrassed, because shame is, if you see the map of consciousness, shame is really at the lowest. So I'm going to change it to embarrassment. So you're embarrassed because you acted in the way that was supposed to be opposite to what how you should acted on certain things. But then to catch yourself when you feel that you're embarrassed and you say, okay, I'm embarrassed. What should I do? Do I hide? Do I try again to put out a facade and say, oh, it's okay, it's fine. I'm gonna let it brush brush it off and then go on. And but then inside your head, like, you haven't really resolved it. As opposed to you sitting, just have that moment to sit with yourself and say, okay, that was embarrassing. Like, what did I do? But then, oh, okay, Nicolette, you didn't know better then, but you know better now. Therefore, it's okay. You can either confront, if it's an interaction with the person, confront with that person, say, okay, I'm embarrassed. Sorry about what I did, but okay. And then have the capacity to forgive and be kind and be your, I would say, your best friend, your cheerleader, and say, okay, this time we didn't, we botched it, but next time we're gonna do better, you know. And once I started changing my mindset like that, I feel more, definitely more empowered. At the same time, it's like I got my own back, right? Like, because honestly, we are the only one that we live together for, not our parents, not our wife or husband, our children. We are our own companion until the end of time, until we're like 6 feet underground, right? And I think people need to have that. But it's difficult to understand. It's difficult to grasp when it's you're diving into it. But I'd say just feel it, because anything in this world, good or bad, it will pass. And then be that objective third party looking at it, like saying, oh, okay, like a ticker tape. How did I do in this? What can I learn from it? So yeah, that's my.
You're saying a lot of interesting stuff right there. One of the things that you said is also, which is a great point, is to recognize, okay, and we don't think about this a lot, is that to recognize that our thoughts are not us either. It's not just our actions, but our thoughts are not, that's our brain just reacting and feeding us, our thoughts. But to recognize that our thoughts are not us, to separate our thoughts from who we are, right, and our value. So that's a really important, interesting point. And a lot of what you've been talking about is also interesting in that awareness just brings, you said it's empowering, and it's so empowering just to begin to become more and more aware. It's like,
Yes.
be interested in ourselves, right? And just take a look and really analyze. I've been accused of being overanalyzing. I don't even think that's
Me too.
possible. I'll tell you, Nicolette, I don't think it's possible. I think it's just fine to be, if that's a good thing to be accused of, because that
Yeah.
means to me that you're
Yeah.
really aware of you.
Yes, and that's why I
Yeah.
value my solitude, my solitude, my solitude time. Like, this is where okay, let's put Nicolette in that 3D and ooh. Yes, you were
It,
saying, just Shane.
as we become more and more aware of our thoughts, and we become interested in us, and then a lot of times we can kind of see what's driving, where's it coming from, what does it mean, and it helps us process that. And you kind of wound up with in your last story, in your last statement there, of that it's okay to feel those things. We a lot of times they don't feel good, so we try to avoid them. A good example of that is courage or bravery, right? In order to do a lot of things, when you say be courageous, I mean, it sounds really positive. We all want to be courageous and go for
Yes,
it, right? But when it comes time to be courageous, it doesn't feel good. I mean,
exactly.
it's like, well, that it sounded good till right now, but I'm not sure anymore, because it does not feel good. And
Mm-hmm.
so just to recognize that it's not always going to feel good, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. Life's always not going to, we set out, one of the things that I did is I didn't feel good. Remember my story? I didn't feel good. So I went to feel good. This is how I felt good. I drank and drank and drank, and then I felt good. Well, the
Yeah.
target goal was to feel good. Maybe if I would have just taken a look and said, you don't feel good right now. What's going on? What does that mean? And, found a different way to handle. And I guess my point here is I don't think our life is designed. I don't think the target goal is to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Oh,
the
that is
target
a
goal.
very, that's golden there. Yes. The
Yeah,
target is not to feel good. And even though you increase your consciousness, you are still gonna feel crap and
that's right.
acknowledge that, but just
Yep,
let it pass.
that's right.
That, yeah, yeah,
I'm
that is
with you
key.
on that. The last thing that you said there, I have to tell you, it brought me when I was at the lowest of lows in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Mm-hmm.
wishing that, uh, there were times when I just wished I wasn't even alive. And um, when I was at the low point of my life, my dad gave me a cutout out of a magazine, out of a Reader's Digest, and it was a quote. And the quote was in part, what you just said a minute ago, which was that, um, I don't know, it said that, expect trouble as an inevitable part of life. And when it comes, look it squarely in the eye and say, this too shall pass. Yeah. So I
Yes.
appreciate you saying that. You just reminded
Yes.
me of that time, and that was something that I remember because I needed to hear at that moment.
And you mentioned Reader's Digest. I grew up with Reader's Digest. My dad has always been the one, like, and and somehow, yeah, it's connected.
Right
So,
on.
well, thank you, Shane. Right. Let's talk a little bit about horses because
Yep.
by Chinese zodiac, I was born in the year of the horse. So when you were mentioning about horse, I'm like, oh, and maybe this is why I'm very intuitive. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. But yes, tell us about horses. Like, I would say, how is how are horses similar to humans in a
Yeah.
sense? And what are
Yeah.
the values that they have? Yeah.
Horses are these magnificent creatures, they're so beautiful
Yeah.
they're just like God's gift, they're just these big, powerful kindnesses and I'm fortunate to be able to have horses, to work with horses for my life, for my life's work. And even now in the horsemanship journey, we help people overcome fear and anxiety and nervousness and stuff like that is part of what we do at the horsemanship journey. Horses are interesting creatures. One of the things that is about horses that's related to this discussion today is that horses are forgiving. Now, let me tell you about that. If you they have boundaries, okay? Being forgiving doesn't mean that you're getting becoming a doormat and getting run over. Horses, if you're unfair to a horse and they take it as unfair, they will change their behavior, right? But they don't hold it against you, okay? They won't keep coming back for more and making they won't keep coming back for more unfairness. They will have a boundary, but they will not hold it against you, because once you change your behavior, they will totally change and let it go. They do not hold stuff against you. They are non-judgmental. They simply react to what we do. So we go up to the horse and we think, they don't look at us like the way they don't have all this unresolved stuff going on inside of them. You know what I'm saying? Like some of us do. They're a little bit more pure and they're a little bit more open. And so they're super good examples of like in these respects of how we can be. It's just interesting to watch them with each other and to watch the interactions that we have with them, because they do not hold stuff against us. And the thing of it is with horses, let's just say with man and woman and a horse, that combination is a relationship. It's the same relationship as a man, or then each with human beings with each other, as a man with a horse. It's a type of relationship. And so we have a tremendous influence on them, right? Because we're in this relationship, but they have their own free will and they do what they will, right? So we can influence this relationship. But when you look at how they treat each other and how they treat us in this relationship, there's a lot of good examples of really something that we can take out of that and say, you know what, if I let go of some of this other stuff and first of all, I didn't show up with any judgment. I'm just coming to this with an open space, open mind, open
Yes.
everything, let you be you, and not decide what all that, put a bunch of meaning on it, and just kind of take you for what you are, and know that you're not going to make mistakes, because people and horses, just like people with people, we make mistakes with horses. There's times, I'll tell you, I've been plenty of times when I've been unfair, you know, and a lot of it's from ignorance. A lot of it's, we can let our emotions get involved, and we do things just like I have done with people. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been perfect in my relationships with horses or with people, but when I look at horses, to your question, is that all of the time they let it go, usually easier than most people do. And so that's what I want to do. They set an example for me on forgiveness and non-judgmentalness. That's just for starters. I could go on about horses because they're
Please
super
do. We have
interesting.
a little bit more time.
Okay.
I want to know about. I've never ridden a horse. I would love to. I would love to. Perhaps if I do go to Las Vegas, I would pay
Yep.
your ranch a visit.
I
Definitely.
hope you do. I
Yes.
hope you do. You are welcome. Another lesson that I've learned from horses is that, and I learned this early on from observing horses and training horses and learning how they think and this and that is that horses, it's very apparent with horses. And so then I started observing it with myself and with people. And it's when I see it, it had became apparent, but I wasn't aware of that. And that is that they don't stay the same. They don't stay in the same place. Here's what I mean by that. Every time that I come into proximity with a horse, with my horse, okay? What I mean is I come into a closeness with them. Every time that I come within a certain distance from them where I interact with them, and it could be from hundreds of yards away, or it could be a few feet away or whatever, depending on what their living condition is. But when I come into proximity with a horse, everything that I do influences that horse. Everything, even what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. Okay, so that has an influence to some degree. Okay, so what I mean by that is every time I interact with the horse, I'm going to try to communicate with the horse to ask him to move into the desired result that I want, right? I came to the horse to talk to the horse, to communicate with him a desired result. A desired result could be that I want to catch you and I want to lead you over here. That could be the desired result. Maybe it's that I want to catch you and put a saddle on you and I want you to carry me around for a while. Whatever the desired result is that I want from the horse, every interaction that I do matters. Everything matters. So I can either move my horse closer to the desired result I want, or further away by the things that I do, right? Every single time with everything that I do. So, and I had somebody say, well, Shane, my horse, I do the same thing around my horse every time I'm around my horse, and he does the same thing. So I don't really believe that. If that's the case and you do the same thing around your horse every time that you're with him, you are reinforcing the desired result that you're getting. And if you're getting what you want, then you're reinforcing to him the habit, which and therefore you're moving him up. He's not staying in the same place. You're either moving your horse towards being a good citizen or not, right? Towards being the desired result that you want, or further away with every single thing that you do. And so every single thing matters, right? Like everything, the way that we feel, the way that we move, the way that everything that's going on with us, it has an influence every single time. And when I recognize that, Nicolette, is when I started observing people. I mean, we kind of know that when we say it, but when you really start paying attention to it, it's very interesting to know that every single interaction that I have with you, and every word and everything, all my actions are, they're a part of this relationship that we have with each other, and everything matters. And it's a lot of times it's easy. I used to kind of go through life like, that doesn't matter, this or that or whatever, and yeah, whatever, and this and that, like it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But one of my mottos is the only thing that matters is everything, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe that,
Yeah. Me
everything matters. So That's another good
How
lesson.
you do anything is how you do everything.
Love it.
Yes. And I want to circle back on the horses. It's like you don't take them for granted, and therefore they won't take you for granted. That is reflected back right to you through their actions. Like, I've never been in. I think I have been in close proximity with the horse, but never like really, really close. But I sort of have this affinity with horses that whatever you said, I believe it because they are free. They have free will. They run unbridled. But they're also very, I think, very nurturing to a certain degree. Very,
Yeah.
very, yeah, very
Horses are one of
gentle.
God's magnificent gifts to the world, and I encourage you, if you haven't, to have an experience if you
Yes,
can.
I would. Yeah, this is my sign from God, the universe, that I need to take a trip to the U.S. soon.
I know you're about out of time, but I have one last thing that I'd like to leave you with if you have another
Yes,
second.
yes, of
And
course.
that
I
is,
have I have three more questions, and then we can
oh, all
I can
right.
let you
Well,
go.
then you go on. I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like to ask you, what is next for you?
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, we're going on here. I'm in the process of writing a book called The One Horse Race. I'm hoping to have that done soon. I'm like you mentioned earlier, a certified life coach, and so we're excited about the program that we have for ultra confidence for horse people, creating confidence and all the things that we're talking about today. So that's the big news here, and we're going to keep riding and training and enjoying horses, and that's what the future looks pretty bright over here in Las Vegas, and I hope that the future looks good for you too, wherever you are
I
and what you
feel it.
got going on.
I feel it. I feel it. This is this. We're doing great work, Shane. Okay, so my questions are like closing questions, but let me please you want to share something, so I wanted to, yeah, I can leave my questions at the end.
Oh,
You
and
wanted
that
to
was just
leave
this.
something.
My
Yeah.
last thought is just this, that if you're listening to this and this is something that interests you, and maybe if you're feeling down or if you're feeling bad or if you feel like you really don't know if what you've done's okay or not, or maybe you're just feel like you're in and out of depression, or maybe you're really not buying the fact that you're really worth it, maybe you're not, or maybe you just want to but you're having a hard time. I What I can tell you is this. We, you and me and all of us are just equally priceless, invaluable souls. We're not, nobody is worth 1 ounce more and
Yes.
nobody is worth 1 ounce less. God made us all exactly equal. And if you don't believe in that, and if you're having a hard time believing it, I'm asking you to believe me, that you are an invaluable soul and you are worth it. It is worth it. Whatever is in front of you that is hard, it's worth getting through. And so I beg you to do it, because I promise you on the other end of this is going to be worthwhile. It is worthwhile. This journey is worthwhile because you're worthwhile.
That was a good one, and I'd like to add to that. Because we are here, we are all soul beings. Experiencing, we're just in human bodies experiencing the human experience, and therefore, if you are already here, meaning you matter, right? You take up the space, so you matter.
Awesome.
Okay, a few more questions, Shane. What is your heart's greatest wish?
Say it again.
What is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a lot of them, man. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one. My heart's greatest wish is that, you know, my message to the world is just what I just said, that we are invaluable souls, and the way that we can know that is to begin with these things that I've listed. And I believe that the world I know, as a matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, that it is our
Mm-hmm.
duty to work on this, the way that we believe about ourselves, because it is changing and it will change the world. It won't just change your world, And it's enough that it's going to change your world and all the people around you, but you're going to change the trajectory of the planet, of Earth, the more that we commit to
Preach.
this thing.
Yes, 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 yes. It's a ripple effect, and we're gonna get there no matter what. Maybe not in our generation, but still, we're starting the movement right now. You and I, one
Here
step
we
at a
go.
time. Okay, last question. I know we touched a bit, but if you could give a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
My quote that I would leave to the world. Oh boy,
Yes.
what would my quote be? That that we can. My quote is that we are not able to contribute to our friends, to our family, to our loved ones, to our horses, to our God, all that we want to, because we can, unless we commit to this mission that we're talking about. So therefore, to yourself and to everyone that matters to you, that this work is worthwhile.
Oh, I got the chills. Thank you so much, Shane, for your time. It was
You're very
a
welcome. Appreciate you. Thank you
very
so much for having me.
riveting experience and conversation with you. You're doing great
Thanks so
work,
much.
Shane, and stay in touch. I
All right.
definitely, I
Talk to you
think I will
soon.
be dropping down
Very
in
good.
Vegas. Thank you so much. Bye bye now.
Come on.
Take care. Bye bye.